Welcome to our parent engagement session on raising effective communicators and play skills. I am Karen Nell and I am the FS1 inclusion teacher.
And I am Jillian Sali and I am the Year 2 inclusion teacher. Firstly, let's look at what is involved in communicating.
How we communicate. Communication is a complex process. Language includes receptive language skills. This is understanding what other people are saying. Expressive language skills is spoken language. We often say to parents not to give children too much screen time. The reason for this is this will affect their receptive and expressive language skills. It might develop your child's receptive, but not their expressive language skills, as it's only a one-way communication. Often it is the students with receptive language issues that are missed, in the classroom. Many children with language impairments might be missed in the classroom, especially if their speech is easy to understand.
Because there are so many factors which influence communication, the first step would be to identify if your child has a speech, language, and communication need. Children and young people with SLCN have difficulty in communicating with others. This may be because they have difficulty saying what they want to, understanding what has been said to them, or they do not understand or use social rules of communication. The profile for every child with SLCN is different and their needs may change over time. They may have difficulty in one, some, or all of different aspects of speech, language, and social communication at different times of their lives.
What does communication language needs look like? The term SLCN includes a wide range of difficulties relating to all aspects of communication difficulties in children. Some difficulties are obvious and some are hidden. A child with SLCN might have difficulties with fluency, forming sounds and words, or formulating sentences and understanding what others are saying. Some SLCN are short-term and can be addressed through effective early interventions. Others are more permanent and will remain with a person throughout their childhood and adult life. Prevalence of SLCN. In primary schools, more children have language difficulties than any other education need. 50% of children start school without the language they need for learning. SLCN is much more common in boys than in girls, with between 2 and 3 times as many boys have difficulties in comparison to girls. Undetected SLCN. Often SLCN may be hidden. Children may hide their difficulties, showing other symptoms, for instance, poor behavior or low self-esteem and few friendships. SLCN is not often recognized until it becomes a cause of concern.
So what are the components of speech and language? There are 4 components, namely speech, auditory processing, which refers to how our brain processes the information we hear, language, and then phonetical awareness and literacy, which refers to pre-literacy skills such as rhyming, blending, and segmenting. We will be taking a closer look at speech and language in the next few slides. What exactly is speech? Well, speech is the verbal means of communication, and it includes oral motor skills, articulation, voice, and fluency. Difficulties in speech can represent in different ways. A child could have difficulties with oral motor skills and control of oral movements related to articulation and feeding related tasks. A child could overuse or misuse their voice, and this can lead to hoarseness or loss of voice. They could also lack smoothness or rhythm of speech production, which could cause hesitations or stuttering. Lastly, difficulty or delay in development of a child's speech is sometimes called a speech impairment or speech difficulty.
We'll now look at the typical speech development. The above pyramid shows the foundation blocks for all language and communication development. Learning to listen is vital in developing the ability to play and interact. It underpins the development of understanding language and speaking. Listening skills are also necessary to acquire all the speech sounds we need when talking. These then become the building blocks for developing successful literacy skills. Children are often referred to speech and language therapy because of concerns over language or literacy. After assessment, it becomes clear that the real issue is listening. Poor listening affects the children's ability to learn across the whole curriculum. Poor listeners are likely to be restless, and their behavior can make it more difficult for the rest of the class to access learning. Children who have not learned to stay quiet when other people are talking and listen to what they are saying found it more difficult to form successful social relationships. On this slide, we will listen to a therapist we work very closely with called Gemma, and she'll tell us a little bit more about speech and language therapy.
Hello, my name is Gemma and I'm a speech and language therapist. I currently work for Inspire Therapy based in JLT, but one day a week I am based in GEMS Wellington, Silicon Oasis. Just a little bit about speech and language therapy. So speech and language therapists are those that work with human communication. We can specialise in working with both either adults or children. Speech therapists that work with adults are usually those that have experienced perhaps a stroke or a brain injury that affects their communication overall. Those that work with children, we can work with those children that have difficulties with, for example, articulation, producing a certain speech sound and working on clarity of speech. Fluency, which is stammering or stuttering. Voice, so improving volume, pitch, voice quality, and understanding of language such as following instructions, and expressive language such as vocabulary and sentence formation, also speaking in full sentences, sentence structure, etc. Grammar as well is also under this umbrella. So that is speech and language therapy just in a nutshell. My role at Silicon Oasis is to follow up on referrals from the school for children that have been highlighted as potentially benefiting from speech and language therapy support. So I would carry out an assessment or a screener to identify which areas of need are there. Some of these I've just mentioned. And then from then on, I would carry out one-to-one sessions in the school to develop those areas, working closely with school staff to ensure that there is carryover from the sessions into the classroom as well. Particularly in the early years, lots of children may be identified as benefiting from speech therapy, as this is a very important and critical age, from the ages of 3 to 5, where language development is at its peak. So any additional support the child can receive within this time frame is the perfect time to develop any areas that may be potentially delayed or requiring additional support. Thank you so much.
Now let's look at language and why it's so important. Language is the foundation for literacy. It underpins academic and social success, and it is important for developing and maintaining relationships with others. SLCN increases every year, and approximately 2 out of 30 students will experience severe language difficulties that hinders their academic progress. Often when I speak to parents regarding concerns about their child's language and communication, I often discover that the child speaks Arabic or another language at home. SLCN is not a result of English as an additional language, but having an additional language can make identification more difficult. Children who are learning English as an additional language can also have SLCN, but they are no more likely to experience it than other children. Research has shown us that bilingualism does not cause a language delay. While a bilingual child's vocabulary may be smaller than average, his or her total vocabulary from both languages will be the same as a monolingual child, which is a child that only knows one language. Bilingual children may say their first word slightly later than a monolingual child, but within the normal range between 8 to 15 months. Given sufficient exposure to English, the vast majority of children with English as an additional language will catch up to their peers. It is very important for us to talk about how the development of a child's first language is, to try and distinguish whether it is an English and additional language need or if it is SLCN. It is therefore necessary to determine whether they have difficulties in all the languages that they speak.
Now that we know what communication involves, let's look at some tips and tricks to develop language and communication. Strategies we use in school are singing, role play, picture books. Picture books, we normally start with books that has no words in it, so it's only pictures and the child makes up the story as they go. Listening games. The magic bag. Magic bag is basically any bag that you can use at home as well and just put items in the bag. The child will choose the item from the bag and describe that to you. Learning through play and exploration. Colorful semantics. Colorful semantics begins with WH questions, asking and answering WH question, and can be extended to develop sentence structure. Picture scenes, reading stories, model language, visuals to develop and extend vocabulary, the describing bubble, which we'll show you in the next slides, learning to express our feelings. In the younger years, students sometimes have a lot of emotions, but they don't have the words for that. And we do focus on this. Social skills interventions and modeling sentences. In this video, we'll look at Ms. Bugler and Isla. They are looking at the wordless book and they're going to use the describing bubble to show us how it works.
So we are going to have a look at the story and use our describing bubble to have a little chat about the pictures. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Give me 2 thumbs up if you're ready. Oh, can you tell me about the size of the yellow dog?
Medium.
Can you tell me a full sentence?
The dog is medium.
Wow, you're a superstar. Can you tell me how many people are in the story?
4.
4. There are 4. Well done. Can you give me a number sentence about how many dogs are on this page?
1.
Have a look at the 2 pages.
1.
1.
2.
Yeah, well done. Full sentence.
The dog and this is there.
So how many dogs are there?
2.
There are
2
2.
dogs.
Well done. Can you say it again?
The dog.
There.
2 dogs.
There are 2 dogs. Your turn.
The dog is.
There are 2 dogs.
There are 2 dogs.
Amazing. Oh, what is the dog in the water doing? What is the dog in the water doing?
It's a stick.
Is he eating it?
Yeah.
What's he doing with it? Somebody threw the stick into the water and he is?
Eating.
He's after fetching it. Can you say fetching?
Fetching.
Yes. Would a stick be nice to eat?
Uh-uh.
No, I don't think he'd like to eat it. He's jumped into the water to fetch the stick and he's going to swim out. And what will he do then when he's out of the water, do you think?
Eat it?
Would he like to eat it? Would it be tasty? A stick? Oh, maybe he might like to play with the stick. Would you like to play with it, do you think? No. Who would you like to play with?
Him.
The other dog. Could you tell me a colour sentence about what Grandma is wearing?
A fuzzy hat and a blue top.
And a blue top. Give yourself a pat on the back. You are a superstar. You're fantastic.
In this video, Ms. Bugler was prompting Isla to use full sentences. She also used the strategy, my turn, your turn, when she wanted her to talk in a full sentence. She also taught her new vocabulary by asking her to use the word fetching. In this video, Ms. Jody and Sophia will show us how to use colourful semantics.
Can you find the girl for me? I'm here. Can you find the girl? Where's the girl? There she is. Can you put her here? Thank you. And what is the girl doing?
Her reading a story.
Yes. Can you find her reading? Can you find one reading? Which one's reading? Story. So that one goes there. And can you find one which is reading? Thank you. Put it in the middle. Okay, so the girl is reading a story. Your turn.
A girl is reading a story.
Well done. Let's see if we can find anybody else. Who's this?
Boy.
Boy. Can you find the boy? Where do you think he goes? Which colour have we got? Yeah. And what's the boy doing?
He's reading a story.
Can you find the reading one for me? Reading one. Reading. And what is he reading?
A book.
Book. Can you find the book? Can you say the boy is reading a book?
A boy is reading a book.
Book. Where are they reading a book? Where? Where are they? Where are they reading a book?
In that page.
Where? Where are they reading a book?
All of them are reading books.
They are all reading a book, but where are they? Are they in the kitchen?
No. In the garden.
In the garden. Well done.
In this video, colourful semantics works by colours. So Sophia's matching orange who to the orange question who, and then it goes on to where and when. So to extend colourful semantics, we will ask where this is happening and when this is happening.
Here are some tips for parents. So if you have any conversations at the end of the day or during breakfast or lunch, so we would encourage parents to have a conversation with your member of the family. You can talk about the best part of your day. And even for my daughter, sometimes she will say nothing. If I ask her, so what did you do today? She'll say nothing, or she'll say, I don't remember. And a good tip is just to get out Seesaw. And I usually just show her some pictures on Seesaw. So, oh, well, I see that you did a story. Can you tell me something about it? And then that's like a nice conversation starter. And she obviously, looking at the picture, it reminds her of everything that she has done for the day. Another thing would be to share storybooks and obviously read together and talk about the story. Also asking those important WH questions such as what do you think will happen next? What was your favorite part? And how do you think the different characters are feeling? Just any question about the story, and also get them to ask you some questions as well. You can also model language as much as possible, and don't correct your child. So just model it instead of correcting. And then also try to get as much play dates in as possible. So socializing with family members and friends is very important. You can play I Spy games. And this is something that I also do with my daughter, just driving back from work. And we usually just look around us, use our surroundings, and we play I Spy, which is a lovely game to get new vocabulary as well. You can also narrate the day as it evolves. So in the morning, and at the end of the day as well, you can talk through the activities as you do it. You'll say, let's get ready for bed. I'm going to get my pajamas. Let's brush our teeth now. And something that I also do with my daughter at the end of the day is a day song, which is where we just kind of sing through all the activities that we did for the day. And this is a good way to build her memory. And then also just a reminder of the key words that we used during the day, or just to communicate like about what happened for the day. Songs and music is an excellent way to build communication and play skills as well. So enjoying music and singing together. And then also playing listening games, such as listening to the sounds in the environment, which you can do anyway in the park or at home as well. Now let's have a closer look at play skills, which links very closely to communication. Play is defined as a state of being in which an individual experiences increased energy, focusing on an activity, cheerfulness, and joy, which is accompanied by smiles, laughter, and relaxation. There are 6 developmental stages of play, as can be seen here in the slide. The first stage is unoccupied play, where they are discovering their bodies and how they move. And this is very early on, between the ages of 0 to 3 months. The solitary play is the next stage, is when a child plays alone and is not interested in playing with others yet. The third stage, which happens typically around age 2, is when a child watches other children play, but will not play with them yet. Next would be parallel play. This is when a child plays alongside another, but does not play with them. So for example, they may take turns playing with the same toys, but not with each other. Typically, between the ages of 3 to 4, children then start to play together, but not necessarily cooperating with each other. So for example, they will play together on a playground, but with very different things on the playground. Lastly, we get cooperative play, which starts around the ages of 4. And this is when a child plays with another and is interested in both the activity and the other children involved. Play is very closely tied to the development of cognitive, social, emotional, and physical behaviors.
The play environment. Children learn best in an environment which allows them to explore, discover, and play. Make sure the environment is relaxed, stimulating, and inviting. Natural environments are a great play environment. It doesn't always have to be an area set up with lots of toys. Children will always find something to play with in nature.
Let's talk about barriers of play. Okay, play is obviously a critical avenue of learning, but it's often close to children who have difficulties initiating and engaging in play due to language barriers or communication, cognitive, emotional, and physical difficulties. Mobility problems make it difficult, if not impossible, to play the common games such as hide and seek. Visual impairments may impede a child's ability to find and investigate toys, and cognitive difficulties limit the development of pretend play. Often these children will end up playing less, which in turn has an impact on their development and communication. They are automatically at a distinct disadvantage and will therefore require much more support in learning important play skills.
Strategies and interventions. A quick and easy way to remember how to create the perfect play experience is to use the acronym PLAY. P, peer, choose the right friend. L, learning environment. Make sure you choose a small, comfortable, and if possible, familiar environment, such as a play date at your house or at a well-known park or play area. Or like we said before, just outside in the nature, children will always find something to play with. A, appropriate toys. Use familiar and age-appropriate toys if possible. Think about the size, the density, and the theme of the toy. Use a wide range of multi-sensory toys. Why? Make sure you or an adult is supervising but not interfering with play. Encourage play, but don't break the flow of play. Here is some useful resources. It's websites and videos on exploring play skills that you can explore in your own time. If you have any concerns about your child's speech and language or play development, please reach out to your child's classroom teacher. Thank you so much for joining us today.